Good evening and welcome to another episode of the Amateur Footballer Extra Time. I hope everyone's well and has been enjoying the results of the football this week. I know I have, being a Palace fan. We just keep winning. Today we're going to cover a couple of aspects, but before we touch on the actual topics that we want to talk about, just want to introduce a couple of our guests. So we've got the Big P. You're probably all aware of who Big P is. He's the co-hoster of our channel. How you doing, Big P? How you feeling?
I'm good, thank you, Doc. How are you?
All good, thank you. And we've been joined again from the one and only Billy. If you are a follower of the show, you'll recognise him. He was on a few weeks ago. He is a fellow Palace boy, but don't worry, Big P, you're not outnumbered today because we're not going to focus on which team's better out of ours and yours. Good evening, Bill. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good. I'm glad to be back. I enjoyed it last time, and like you say, we'll go a bit nicer on Big P today. It's going to be a bit different focus today, so I'm looking forward to it and happy to be back on.
You speak for yourself. I can't.
Okay, I'll leave that one there.
Before we go into the topics, Bill, last time we spoke, you had a bit of a personal journey with your team. Is that all wrapped up now?
Yeah, I'm pleased to say it is. We've won the league, so we've got two games that is Sanderstead FC, and that is the Div 2 of the Croydon League. So, but our aim is to stay unbeaten. So we got 2 games left, and if we can beat that, we'll stay as the only unbeaten team in the Croydon League. That's the challenge now. So, got a target on the back, but. Thank you. Well, it's a long overdue trophy. I've been there 6 years and haven't got one, so I think I deserve it, so man.
There you are. Enjoy your plastic.
It's starting to sound like Steven Gerrard, Doc.
Yeah, probably. It does sound like it.
At least there wasn't no slips along the road.
There probably was a little area. Not as bad as him. No, right, thank you for asking.
No, you're more than welcome. I know you didn't want to speak too soon last time because you didn't want to curse it. So I'm very pleased. Congratulations to you and the team for delivering that.
Thank you very much.
You can finish the job with the unbeaten season because that will be a hell of an achievement. And funny enough, that will bring me on to my next topic quite nicely, but we won't touch on it too much. If Leverkusen can do the impossible and continue their journey, we will be doing a special episode where we do talk about the German league and what's going on out there. But I want to pause there and I don't want to talk about it too much because it is another topic for another day. So I want to dive straight into today's topic, guys. The manager's merry-go-round. What's gone before us this season and what is going to potentially unfold at the end of the season. So I just want to touch some base. I'm going to start with you on this one, Bill. Pete, I'll come to you in a minute. There is a reason why I'm going to Bill first. So, Bill.
No worries.
How do you think, first and foremost, do you think that there'll be any more changes of managers next year? Or do you think that the talk of the town, so to speak, is how it's going to be?
It's a difficult one because there's not been as many managerial changes essentially in the Premier League as normally. I think a lot of teams have tried to ride it through. Some have worked. I think some have taken a lot of time. You can look at some teams that you're probably a bit shocked at the start of the season, probably Bournemouth taking Iriola, and everyone was like, Gary O'Neill did a great job. But I think there's going to be one or two, answer to your question. I think Man United are at risk of, they're clearly looking for someone to overtake at Man United. Something's not right there, and you've seen in the last results. And I think it depends what manager's available and what's what, and then the Chelsea situation as well. So I think there's going to be a big change somewhere at the end of the season. So
fair enough. Same question to you, P. How do you see it unfolding?
I think, mate, other than Ten Hag, I can probably see one more like a Vincent Kompany or something being sacked by the end of the season or just after. But other than that, I think most teams are stable now, aren't they? I can't see Rob Edwards being sacked from Luton. I think he's done nothing but a phenomenal job there. Sheffield United is Chris Wilder. I think they'll give him time to bring him back. So I don't really see too much, mate. I see Ten Hag, Man United, 100%. And and maybe Vincent Kompany. But other than that, I think the rest of the teams are probably going into the new season with the managers they've already got.
We've obviously got the worst kept secret in football with regards to Slot coming in at Liverpool as well. Bill, for me personally, as weird as it sounds, we've lost Bill for a minute, so we'll come back to Bill in a minute. Big P, I'm gonna add. I'll aim this one at you, and Bill can jump back in when he's ready. With regards to, can you remember where you was where the news broke that Klopp was leaving? Because I know it sounds a bit ironic, but it was such big news that it is one of them ones where I remember exactly where I was when I heard it, and I think people have come to terms with it now, but I think it was a bolt out of the blue. And can you remember where you was?
I'll tell you where I was, mate. I was indoors and I was feeding baby, and it broke. And I stopped feeding him for a minute because I thought Sky Sports News something had happened, like one of these invasions of Sky Sports News had happened, and Klopp was going. And I remember talking to you, Doc, offline about Klopp not long ago, and you were saying, no, he's just signed a new contract. And I said, I really wouldn't be surprised, Doc. And you went, no, he's just signed a new deal and that. And I thought, yeah, maybe. And then obviously, like a couple of weeks later, maybe a couple of months later, he announced that he leaves. So I was actually indoors feeding the baby, mate. And I thought it was some sort of sick joke by Sky Sports News, but clearly not.
I don't know if you heard the question, but the question was, can you remember where you was when the news broke that Klopp was going?
I think I was out with my mates, funny enough, at the time. Yeah, sorry, I had a little bit of a glitch there. I was out with my mates, and funny enough, one was a Liverpool fan, and he put it in the WhatsApp anyway for everyone. So it's gone in the football. I've gone, what? He ain't going. Like, he's settled, isn't he? And stuff like that. And then, of course, 2 weeks later, you've got it over everywhere. So I think I started believing it after Sky and BBC and everyone else picked up on it. But I didn't believe it for about a week, I'll be brutally honest. So it's a bit of a shock to the system, like you say.
See, the main reason why it shocked me more than anything was I was a strong believer, and anyone that follows my other channel and with the football talk that I host on a daily, people will remember, and I know Big P will remember. Do you remember, Big P, where I said, like at the beginning, I can't remember exactly when it was, but do you remember when I said I think this will be Klopp's last year and I think Klopp will go? And then the Liverpool fans, the loyal Liverpool fans, season ticket holders were saying, well, no, there's an offer on the table. And I said, yeah, but there's an offer on the table and I don't think he'll sign it. Then he actually signed the deal. And the belief was Klopp's a man of his word and he don't walk out on team. So if there's a contract there, he will stay for the contract. And that was the thing where they convinced me that he was a man of his word and he would see his contract through. And that was why it became such a shock. But to be honest, I did call long before he even signed the new contract. I just had this funny feeling that this would be his last year.
Yeah, I think it's it comes as quite a surprise to me, Doc, to be honest with you. I thought Liverpool not heading in the right direction, but when you look at his side he had at the beginning of the season, you probably wouldn't tip Liverpool to be in the top four with that midfield alone. I think he's done nothing but a magnificent job at Liverpool from the beginning to the end. Obviously, he's bought them their first Premier League trophy in 30 years. And do you know what? I wish the geezer all the best in what he goes on to next. I watched an interview of him not so long ago, and he said that he wasn't sure whether he was going to go back into management at all because of the stress and the pressure. So maybe he's going to look at a new direction and maybe a sporting director or something like that now. But whatever he goes into, I'm sure he's going to be a magnificent asset to whatever club he goes to and whatever he goes on to do.
I think personally, he's going to go into the national management. I think he's going to take. I'm still not giving up on the hope that he might be tempted with the England job. I think realistically speaking, he could potentially take the Germany job.
And yeah, that wouldn't surprise me, mate. You look at it's not as I wouldn't say it's not as intense, is it, as club football? As I said earlier to you, it's only like 3 months now, isn't it? They play every 3 months. They join up for 2 weeks, and then you're out watching games. So
yeah.
It
just means it gives him the time to have his home abroad and time with the grandchildren that I know that he really, really wants to be doing.
Well, he did say
it may be the balance, though. Sorry. Did he say he wanted to stay in Liverpool, was it?
He said he wasn't sure whether he'd move back to Germany because I don't know how he'd be taken back, like the reception he would get or anything like that. It gives him a bit of anxiety, and for the foreseeable future, he'd be staying on Merseyside.
Yeah.
Well, people forget how much pressure's on the people like in charge. Like they're the face of everything, aren't they? And like I agree. I think you go national, but I don't think England. I think England's a kind of poison chalice. You can't win. We got the players there. Everyone expects us to win 4-5-0, and if you don't, you're under pressure. And I don't think you probably want that job. I think maybe a Germany job that seems not as secure. I think Southgate's fairly secure, even though people won't agree. But like you both said, it's weird you seeing that Klopp could go, but he lost a couple of key players, but I wouldn't say too much. But injuries have hampered everyone this season, haven't they? So, but I think he's done really well, like you say, with the squad he's had, and the midfield definitely isn't as strong. So
moving on from Klopp for a minute, I think the next management merry-go-round that we need to talk about is our team, Crystal Palace. And I'm going to start with Big P on this one because obviously, Bill, you'll probably have a bit more to say. But
not a problem.
Big P, obviously, Roy Hodgson, I'm sure you can agree, a legend of the game. And I think in this aspect, I think we can class him as a legend of the game because of all what he's achieved and for how long he's been doing it. Yes, I appreciate that not all of the moves have worked out for him, England in particular and Liverpool in particular. But obviously, health caught up with him, and for me personally, it was a terrible shame that it had to end that way. And I'm just really pleased that he's looking well and back on his feet. So, what's your stance with Roy Hodgson first of all, and then obviously we'll bring that on to Glasner stepping in, and then we'll pass it back on to Bill as well.
I thought it was a bit of a weird one because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, it was after the Brighton game where you got an iodine down at the Amex that he was taken ill, wasn't it? And there was a lot of negativity around Palace at the time with the supporters, and there was banners being held up, and there was all sorts going on. And he was taken ill, and there was rumours coming out he'd been sacked, and I just thought that the fans, and it's not all of the fans, it's not the majority, it's the minority of the fans, reacted the way they did when he was taken ill. And I just thought to myself, have a bit of decorum about yourself, because I'm a strong believer I'm not sure Palace would be in the Premier League if Roy Hodgson didn't step in when he stepped in. And that's not nothing to say that you wasn't good enough. I just thought he was the right man at the right time for that job, because you were banging trouble. And he got you out of that sort of hole. Yeah, could he take you further on? No, he probably couldn't. And that's the honest truth. And it was always waiting for someone to come in there that was going to be the right fit for Crystal Palace. And again, correct me if I'm wrong, you two know better than me, but the Palace hierarchy are not stupid enough to go out and just get managers in willy-nilly. I think De Boer was the last manager that come in and didn't last too long. Other than De Boer, like, you've had managers there that have lasted like many seasons. And
Vieira wasn't there that long, to be fair.
Oh yeah, Vieira, forget about him. But ultimately, the hierarchy at Palace ain't stupid. And I generally was a big believer that he would have gone at the end of this season anyway. And I've been talking to you, Doc. That's the sort of picture that I've got. But do you know what? Legend of the game, achieved some fantastic things. And yeah, wish him all the best, and may he look after himself and his health and that. Do you know what I mean? Because he needs to start doing that other than worrying about football. And I know people say, "Oh, once you're in the game, you can't get out of it," but there's got to be a point where you just say enough's enough now. And I think that was the time. As for Glasner, mate, I think you've got a right coup there, and it kills me to say it. It absolutely does. I listen to you day in, day out for the last 4 or 5 weeks, telling me how good Palace are, and it just grates on me. Do you know what I mean? But do you know what? You've got the right. I think personally, you've got the right man at the right time. And yeah, he looks to be doing wonders so far. The end of the season could be the wrong time for Crystal Palace. I would look forward to next season if I was a Crystal Palace fan. I really would. And
Bill, obviously, with regards to Roy, I'm sure you're going to sort of echo what Big P has said there, because I'm sure we all wish him all the best. And
100%.
I generally hope he doesn't take another manager's job, because I just don't think at his age his health is cut out for the pressure of it. But I'm sure that I'm sure you're with me with regards to thanking him for his service and everything he's done at the club. I wouldn't necessarily say he's a club legend. I think the word legend gets chucked around a bit too much, but he's definitely a legend of the game. And, you know, I wish him all the best. But with regards to Glasner,
well, I'll say with the Hodgson bit first. I'll say what Big P said was spot on, absolutely spot on. And what you said as well, I said, I don't hate him. He was thrown in the Palace job 2-3 times maybe, and he just gets thrown in and he can't change his ways after so long. Like, you're set in your ways, and I think Palace went about it wrong. I'll be brutally honest. I didn't agree with them after the Brighton game. It was the Brighton game, so I will tell you that, P, it was the Brighton game. I just felt really bad for him because he is old. He's an old man. He's been in the game a long time. He is a legend of the game, and I thought Palace went about it wrong. Yes, we're riding a high now, and everything's going really well, and we've got our players back essentially, and they're firing. I'll be honest, it's enjoyable watching Palace now. It wasn't enjoyable, but I'd never want ill health on anyone, even an Arsenal manager or someone I don't like, even the Brighton manager. So
I just want to ask you a question there, because I just want to make sure that we're singing from the same hymn sheet. Because when you say you think Palace went about it wrong, what, like, explain to me? Because, like, if it depends on what avenue you're going down, is whether I agree with that point.
Well, I think the fans didn't help in agreement. Like, a lot of people wanted Hodgson gone after that result because that's your rivals or whatever. But I think the timing of the illness seemed a very bit conspicuous at the time, and everyone was like, okay, was suspicious of it. And I thought, you can't joke about that. I think you give him what he needs to do, the time that's needed. And if he's unwell, he's unwell. You can't judge that. And I just don't. I think it was more the outside influence on the club that was showing us in a bad light.
Because I'm very disappointed with the fans. I've made it perfectly clear. It's the first time in a long time there was a point where I was embarrassed to be a Palace fan. The banners was ridiculous, and the way they turned on, like when a bit like Man United stance with Tanark, and why the Man United fans aren't turning on the manager now is because of the injuries. I feel like Roy had nothing to work with at times. Don't forget, Glasner has landed on his feet because not only has he got Alisi and Eze back, but he's also got Wharton and Nunes there, which Roy's had none before. That's 4 of the starting 11 that we've got right now. So, you know,
essential players, like you say, and it's not needed. Like any manager is not needed. Like, I know we go on and talk about West Ham and other teams later on about the managers, but after Palace beat Man United 4-0, the whole Man United fans are clapping the team, and I was a bit shocked at that. I thought normally there's a lot of boos because they were dreadful. Palace were good, but you look at both sides, and I think you saw that image still sits in me at Brighton, where he looks over Hodgson and he sees the flags, and he literally looks like he's a Palace fan. He looks like he's about to burst in tears. And the guy's 80-odd years old, and that just makes me feel sad. Do you know what I mean? That's my club.
I honestly believe, first and foremost, I don't think Palace would have sacked him. I think they would have let him stay to the end of the season. And I think that if we would have done that, as long as we would have stayed up, I would have been okay with that. And even if we stayed up 4th from bottom, I would have been okay with that. And then, like I've said all along, I was gearing up for next year. However, I do generally believe the fans have caused that ill health to come on, because I honestly think that, and Hodgson's actually said it openly in an interview with regards to, he's never ever felt that deflated from the negativity around him and people like screaming for his head. Like he was getting there, and to me that's a very, very sad day. It's a sad day where, you know, yes, he's the manager of a football club, but he is also a senior man, and I'm a strong believer of respect your elders. And, you know, like, I'm sure we all agree that if you see an old man walking across the, like, struggling across the road, we help him cross the road, sort of thing. And to turn on him the way that he did, I was not impressed at all.
It was embarrassing. It was embarrassing, but we've talked about 2 managers and their health, which is quite worrying, isn't it? Because you oversee that quite a lot of times. And all 3 of us have agreed Klopp may want a break for mental as well as physical. And then you've got Hodgson as well, who's an older man. And It's his home club, which is going to put more emphasis on how hard he wants to work. I'm not saying he's not going to put all his effort in any managerial role, but if you've got the club that you support, it means more. Do you know what I mean? So,
yeah. So we're going to pause on Palace because, to be honest with you, with two of us in here, I think we could talk about Palace all night. And I think he's slowly but surely losing the will to live. So we're going to switch our attentions and we're going to bring it on to West Ham. And I'm going to go straight in with Big P. Big P, we'll start with David Moyes. Now, I know that you've got a lot to say about Moyes. You've had a lot to say about him. I've agreed with a lot that you've said. I've disagreed with some of the things that you've said. Tell the viewers, what's your thoughts on David Moyes?
So I was one of, and I've never made it a secret, I was one that he had to go, and it was purely based on his style of football. It was boring, it was defensive, and let's be honest, we lost 5-2 to Palace, we'd lost 5-0 at Fulham, 6-0 at home to Arsenal. I think Villa beat us 4-1. Chelsea got 5 against us. Do you know what I mean? There's 5 teams there. And that's just this season. And it was boring. We're playing too defensive. We just weren't good enough. And I felt like we needed a change.
Can I just ask you to just pause there for 1 sec? Because with regards to Moyes and the change, has West Ham removed Moyes, or has Moyes refused to sign a new contract? Because I've got a bit of conflicting information. So
the information that I know and I've received from someone inside the club is that Moyes was given a new contract over Christmas.
Yes.
And in the meantime, refused to sign it until the season had ended. Yep. But in the meantime, had fallen out with one of the directors. And I don't know what director it is. However, that director then ripped up his contract in front of his face and said that he would not be signing that contract.
Okay.
That's the information that I got.
Well, I think it's very obvious which one it would have been. It would have been the one that was banned in the dressing room.
I think, we all know where that one's headed,
I don't agree with the way West Ham went about it. I think it's absolutely embarrassing. As a fan, we're talking about a guy that come into our club when we were 1 point away from dropping into the relegation zone, turned our fortunes around, kept us up that season, went on to the last 3 years that we've had, which is a semi-final, a quarter-final, and the last 16 of the Europa League. Do you know what I mean? And to go out and start talking to other managers behind his back, and I just find it embarrassing. Just let the geezer do his job. Wait till the end of the season. And I understand that you have to get a manager sort of in before to keep the flow. But for me, it was just like, give the geezer a bit of respect. Do you know what I mean? He's give us memories for the last 3 years that will live with us forever. Do you know what I mean? Prague, when we beat Fiorentina in the final, Seville away, Lyon away. Do you know what I mean? We've beaten some top clubs in the last couple of years, maybe with an average side as well. I don't think we've got a great side. Just have a bit of respect about it. Do you know what I mean? And now you're going out talking to. There was reports at 4:30. The geezer from Sporting CP had flown in from Portugal to have chat with the owners, and it was in his house. And then you've got Lopetegui, like they're talking to him, and you just don't need it as a manager, do you? So I thought it was very disrespectful the way we went about it, and that ultimately lies with the club, doesn't it? I can't say that it lies with anyone. Now maybe there's Tim Staunton as well, to be honest with you. I know him and Mark Noble ain't seeing eye to eye at the minute on the new manager because Noble didn't want him. Staunton does, so it'll be interesting to see how that one pans out for me. But yeah, I just felt it was a bit disrespectful the way we went about it.
Yeah, I agree. Sorry, breaking news. Someone's just talking in my ear from the studio. Aston Villa have just equalised against Liverpool. It is 3-3.
Wow. Fair play. Good comeback.
Thanks for that,
Jeff. But yeah, going back to Lopetegui, I don't know too much about him, mate, to be honest with you. I'm struggling to pronounce his name. So if anyone knows
his name is, I believe his name is pronounced Lopetegui. That's how you pronounce his name. And with regards to Lopetegui, anyone that's not familiar with him, because he has been a manager of Real Madrid, and if you're not familiar with his time at Madrid, he is also the manager that took over at Wolves when they were in the right doghouse, so to speak, and right in the relegation battle. And his record at Wolves wasn't that bad at all. He actually turned them from a relegation battle to a sort of mid-table survival. And yeah, a lot of people felt that he should have potentially been given a bit longer at Wolves. So that's a little bit about him. He's obviously got a lot more of a CV than that. But one thing that he does like to do is he does like to play attacking football. And it is something that I think this is the reasons why West Ham have given him the nod, so to speak.
Yeah, I know it hasn't been taken too well over at West Ham. I know there's a lot of people not too happy with the appointment, but again, you just got to give him a chance. You can't. And the problem is that he comes in and we lose our first 5 games. People are going to be on his back. So it's one of them, and just give him a chance. See, I think for West Ham, it's going to be an exciting summer.
See, I honestly think this is what I've said about West Ham. I think West Ham fans. I don't want to start upsetting you and causing a big debate, but this West Ham are massive. I can't decide whether that's banter or whether certain West Ham fans actually think they are massive. I honestly, I don't know anymore. I just don't know. And the one thing I would say is, if West Ham think they're massive, then I think you need a slight reality check. And I think sometimes you've got to be careful what you wish for. And I do generally think West Ham could be in that position next year. I'm not suggesting that they won't get it right, but I just think the attacking football and the West Ham way that I hear you want to play, your team's not capable of doing that. And for you to be able to do that, you need to make a lot of changes in that team. And I don't mean just changing the manager. I don't think that you're going to have like the Glasner effect where he comes in, changes a formation and the players buy into it. I don't think you've got the stability at the back to be able to do that without bringing reinforcements in. So it'll be an interesting summer. But I just feel like West Ham are going to have to potentially take 2 steps backwards before coming forward again and then achieving like the final objection. But it wouldn't surprise me if West Ham sort of finished 10th again next year at best, maybe even 11th or 12th in the bottom half of the league.
Maybe. I think you got to look at the fixtures, haven't you? If you can avoid some of the big boys in the first 10 games, and you're right up there, you're going into them big fixtures with momentum. Do you see what I'm saying? But again, let's wait and see. Let's wait and see what sort of style of football he's going to bring. We'll know more in the summer. We fly out to America in the summer. I think we've got Palace and Wolves in the summer out in America. So
I was going to say we're out in America as well. Yeah, I know. Yeah. We're in a tournament out there as well. So.
Yeah, so we're in the same tournament. I know Wolves are in it. So that'll be an interesting to see what he's going to play. I'm just hoping, he gives some of the kids a go as well. You see George Urphy on Saturday comes on the pitch and scores. We've got another guy called Keelan Casey, who's a centre-half who looks really promising. And it's probably our best youth side that we've had since the era of Joe Cole, Michael Carrick and Rio. They obviously won everything last season there was to win. They went and beat Arsenal in the FA Youth Cup. They won the league. So they won everything they had to win in the under-23s. So it's our most promising side. So I hope they get to develop and he comes in and develops them and don't just look to go out and buy.
Okay. So while we're talking about the managerial merry-go-round, I'm going to drop a little bombshell in it because I feel like this is the time to do it. And this is just obviously my opinion. I do believe that there is sort of a few sort of like echoes of rumours, if you like, that sort of makes this a little bit more plausible. But me personally, I think the merry-go-round next year is going to play a big part because for me personally, Southgate is going to leave after this tournament. Win or lose, Southgate's going to walk away. And I generally believe that Southgate is either going to walk away a hero with delivering that trophy, or he's going to say, right, well, it's time to give someone else a chance to work with this crop of players. It's not for me. I can't see him doing another 2 years. And I generally, honestly believe Gareth Southgate is going to Manchester United. I think Gareth
Do you
Southgate,
think they're waiting on that, though? Do you think they're waiting on that deal? Is that why you think they're holding out on the Ten Hag pressure? Or
I think personally, the deal is done. I think it's already done. I think that with the guy that they brought in, I always get the names wrong, so I don't want to say the wrong name, but one of the new technical directors of football at Man United has worked with Southgate before. He's been a big He's been
Jason
a big
Wilcox or Ashworth.
I think it's Ashworth, isn't it? I think Ashworth.
Ashworth's a name that goes about.
Yeah, and he's a big admirer of Southgate. And I just think, as much as Man United fans don't want to hear this, and as much as I know a lot of Man United fans have come at me for this, hear me out and listen to my reasonings, and then I think that you might see where I'm coming from a little bit more. If Ten Hag gets sacked, you've got to pay him a lot of compensation. If Man United are paying out a lot of compensation out on him, you do not have the money to then go and spend £12 million to trigger a De Zerbi's buyout clause. There's a limited amount of managers that you can go and get, and Southgate will come with no compensation at all. He's going to walk away from his job. He's under no obligation. There'll be no compensation at all. So he's the cheapest option. I think that with regards to his wages, that you'd get him in on the same sort of wage as Ten Hag, so you haven't lost out wage-wise. And I just think that they're gearing up for it. I generally do. I feel like that's what they're gearing up for. I mean, I could be wrong, but I think personally that that's what's going to happen. I think Southgate's going to walk away, and then I think that triggers another merry-go-round, because I would like to see. There's only two managers for me. Well, three managers for me that I want to see from the Premier League right now, and I'm excluding Pep from this conversation, because I don't think it's realistic Pep will take the England job while he's manager of Man City. I don't think he walks out on City for the job. But there's only three managers that me personally in the Premier League I want to see put into the hat for the England job. And that is Gary O'Neill, if we're going to take a punt. Eddie Howe, if we're going to go down the logical option. Or if we're going to take another punt, I'd like to see someone like a McKenna given a chance. And the reason why I say a McKenna given the chance, yes, I am aware that he's a new manager, but he's also been a coach at Man United. He's been a coach at Tottenham. He's worked with the experienced managers. And I just think England need new, fresh blood. I think we need a manager that doesn't have all this experience and then therefore has the cautious approach. And I feel like the players pick themselves now. The talent you've got there picks himself. And I just like to have a manager that, maybe it's his naivety because he's new that makes us take that chance. So they're the ones I want to see, like potentially linked with the job, or we go down like a Klopp route. But I just can't see it with England, me. I can't see us going down a Klopp or a Pep route. I don't think.
Do you think there'll be a power struggle though if you get a new manager, say, or a newish manager? I personally don't agree on the Eddie Howe thing. I don't know. I've got something against Eddie Howe, I think. I think he does well at 1-2 clubs, but there is that aspect I can get onto him.
I don't think
I
don't think he's cut out for the England job. I just think that if we're going down the English route with experience, then I don't see anywhere else we can go.
No, yeah, that was one thing I wanted to clear. But the McKenna one, it's like he's building his career. It's so promising at Ipswich. Everything's going right. Of course, he's coming into the Prem now. So you've seen Company with Burnley. He tried to have the same style of play and he got found out. Yes, they picked it up after a while, but he's been promoted 2 years running. I think he's a brilliant manager. Absolutely superb. You can see that he respects the players respect him. That's the main thing. And they're working. You wouldn't put them to get in the top 12 probably at the start of the season, but they've gone and got promoted by playing attractive football. So, but I think we do need something like a risk because England have got great players. Defence is probably the weakest out of the whole thing, but I worry with some of these big names, if someone comes in that isn't the big name, will they have a struggle to manage these personalities or people that expect to start? Or if they drop someone, are they going to take it the wrong way unless it was I don't know, someone who's been in the game much longer? I can't say a name because I don't know. So for that aspect. So that's what I worry about. But we'll have to see if your inkling is right with Southgate.
Sorry, breaking news. Jeff is in my ear again. Fourth and final whistle at Villa Park, 3-3. And if my maths is right, that guarantees Villa fourth.
Yeah, your maths is right.
So there we are.
Cracking result. Brilliant from them.
We now have the top 4 finished. We're just waiting for the 1 and 2. So yeah,
both teams on the high. No, sorry, go on.
I can see Southgate managing Man United. I do agree with that. As for England, I think they'll go down the foreign route this time around. I don't think there's enough experience at managerial level.
All of the who though?
I wouldn't be surprised to see Mourinho go in there. You know,
I've said this from day one. Everyone always jokes about Mourinho and Palace, but it's never happening. That's always just a laughy thing. But I can see it, and I thought this from when he was of Chelsea. I've just seen him being the England manager. I don't know when, I don't know why, but it fits at some point, but you don't know why it fits.
I don't have an issue.
I really see
do you know something? Do you know something? I honestly think I'd be over the moon with Mourinho as the England manager, and for 2 reasons. One, because when you're talking about a proven winner and someone that's got the experience to get you over the line, Jose is the man. I've always said, if you're in a cup final situation, 1 game shootout, there's no one else I'd rather have than Mourinho, right? And then number 2 is, if you think about what he done at Chelsea, and if with this concept of, oh, well, he's too defensive for me, I don't want him at my club. How can you say that when Chelsea was scoring so freely and won the league so convincingly that first time round? All he done was he put the stability at the back, he put the core of the team at the back, which we've got, and he let the attacking players go and win games. So I don't have an issue with Mourinho at all. I generally don't.
Well, I think that's what we need at England. We've got the players. That midfield is unbelievable. If we can't win anything with that midfield we've got now and the way they're playing, let's be honest, we're not going to win anything. We're not. Like, we've got 2 of the best 5 probably midfielders currently in the world in our midfield. I would say in the top 5, if not 3 of them are in the top 10. So where do you want to look at it? We've got the talent there, but it's putting the platform and the stability, like you say, to let those players play and win you the game.
But like I said, it'd be interesting to see that if Southgate does leave and then Eddie Howe takes the job, then obviously there's another vacancy at Newcastle, and it's whether Newcastle then try to think outside the box and go outside the Premier League, or whether they try to pinch one of the other managers in the Premier League, and then that makes the merry-go round again. I mean, I've heard the rumours about Glasner going to Bayern Munich, but if anyone that actually thinks that's going to happen is, I'm not just being biased, I just think that you are off your trolley and you should stop reading the Sun newspaper, because there's no way that he's rocked up at a club and all that talk, and we've asked him to take the job early, even though he'd already agreed to take over at the end of the season. He's agreed to take the job early, and now all of a sudden his work here is done and he's off. Like, it does not wash with me.
It wouldn't bode well on the players. Sorry. Yeah, it wouldn't bode well on the players. If you got saying it's working well at the minute, how long it will last, I don't know, but I'm going to take it while it does last. Mm-hmm. As you all know, like in the West Ham and the Palace perspective, it's not always pretty. So when it is, you take it. But supposedly I've seen loads of rumours that we wanted 100 mil, they offered 18 mil, but he's never taken a job. Is it mid-season? And he's taking it. He's got us turned round. Yes, we've got the players back or whatever. Would you want to go? As a manager, I wouldn't, because I'm seeing a massive change. The players are playing for you. Why would you leave so soon as well? So I don't know. I don't really look too much into it.
Nah, for me, he wanted to manage in the Premier League. He's come to the Premier League. He's found his feet. He's loved by the fans. Everyone's talking about him. He's winning games. It ticks all the boxes at the moment. And yeah, I'm sure a bigger job will come. And maybe he will walk out on Palace in 2 years' time for a bigger job. But not now. I can't see it. But so just we will be running the show down for the next couple of minutes. But just before you
1 minute, mate, I just want to address these. We got Katie's put in there. David Moyes was spotted at Preston train station earlier. Maybe a touch there that David Moyes could come back to Preston North End. Who knows?
Funny you should say that.
She did actually send me a photo of her pal having a selfie with him, so it's very true.
I was going to say earlier, though, he is actually being linked with the Republic of Ireland job as well, Moyes.
Oh, is he?
Oh, I didn't hear
he
that.
was seen at Preston Station. Maybe he was just up there checking out hotels ahead of Man City at the weekend.
He's a Preston boy though, and he does have family in Preston.
And she also said that she agrees with not many managers being sacked this year. There's been more in the Championship than the Premier League.
Oh, loads, yeah.
So, yeah.
So before we wrap up, while we're talking about the managers' merry-go-round, manager of the season, Premier League. Who for you is the manager of the season? Now, I do appreciate that it's a hard one to call if we have a change of events. But me personally, I'll go first. I think if Pep wins the league, which I believe they will, that still does not make him manager of the year. And I also think that you can't give it to Arteta for coming second empty-handed. Me personally, the manager of the year is Emery at Aston Villa. And I think the job is done there. I think delivering fourth there is more impressive than Arteta delivering second. And I even think it's more impressive than than Pep delivering first. I think the job he's done there is unbelievable in such a quick time, turning them around and taking them to fourth. And I think that a lot of people were waiting for him to slip up and fall out. And he's kept it going. And even tonight, against the Liverpool team, he's managed to secure it. So for me personally, it's Emery. What do you boys think?
Do you want to go first or do you want me? Oh, okay. Well, Arteta's done a great job. I think he's a bit of I don't know. He's one of those that he's not liked, is he? But he's liked at Arsenal. He's one of those characters. But I can't deny he's done a great job. Like I say, I don't like admitting that, but I think brilliant. But I wouldn't give it for the same reason as what you said. And Guardiola, you win the league, yeah, but you've got how many millions of players there? I look at players and coaches that have done really well. I think Rob Edwards has been brilliant with Luton, but hasn't done enough for manager of the year with the squad he got. But I fully agree. I was going to say Emery before you said it but I've heard that a lot of Villa fans aren't totally happy. And I was like, how can you not be happy? They've come fourth. They've built a good team. They had an amazing home record where they didn't lose a game for however many, I can't remember the exact number. And they're getting results on a consistent basis. They were about 8th, 9th normally in the league, pushing 7th, and they've cemented 4th today. So how can he not be manager of the year? To me, so
if any fan out there is not happy with Emery, I strongly suggest that it's a you issue and you need to find a new club, because if you think that you are in a position at the moment this season to compete with the three in front of you, and the fact that you've come fourth, you've outdone Spurs, you've outdone Man United, you've outdone Chelsea, and you've gone on a European run as well. All right, you could argue that maybe they should have won the Conference Cup, but at the end of the day, Olympic and Icos aren't no mugs either, and they turned you over on the day. I think that Villa were looking very, very tired over the last few weeks. They looked I say they looked okay today. They still look really tired, but they look like they could still score goals. And I can't decide if that was Liverpool's poor defense or their good attacking. But personally speaking, I'm looking forward to them coming to Sellers Park because I think we'll turn them over. But
let's hope it. And I know Big P was sorry just to jump in before. We'll agree. Like when they're playing in Europe, you can see the massive difference from how many games you don't have squads at West Ham and Villa like so-called Liverpool, even though they moan about it, in Chelsea where they can bring players off the bench at 40, 50 mil. You're relying on players that probably aren't fit enough to start 90 minutes as it is. Some players, and you're asking them to play 2-3 times, so the tiredness will set in. But I just wanted to add that before. But sorry, go on.
For me, I'm going to go Rob Edwards. I said it before. I think we all expected Luton to go down with the lowest points tally ever. We expected them to get bashed up every week, and I actually think Luton have been one of the most exciting teams in the league. Some exciting games they've been involved in, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Rob Edwards back in the Premier League with another club in the near future. So I'd give it to him because I just feel like, yeah, Pep, it's every year now. Arteta, I can't stand the geezer. And to be fair, used to have both said Unai Emery, who probably does deserve it. So I'm going to go Rob Edwards. My second choice would actually be the Bournemouth manager.
I don't see how you can go Edwards. This isn't against you, but explain something to me, right? Explain something to me. this is the first year in 14 years that the 3 teams that come up have gone straight back down, right? One of the 3 over the last 14 years has found a way to do it. Yet none of these 3 have. He's had all year at the club. He hasn't taken over like at Sheffield United. He's had all year at the club. And don't forget, normally we're looking at a 45-point margin to stay up. They're nowhere near 45 points. And without the points deduction, they would have been relegated with 3 games to go. What has he actually done? Yes, they've played good football. Yes, I want to give him his props. Yes, he surprised me with regards to I honestly thought Luton would finish bottom. No, I didn't think that they were going to go down with the least amount of points because I don't think that will ever happen again. You're talking 11 points. In this day and age, the Premier League is that competitive where every team should be able to get more than 11. I don't think you'll ever see that replicated. But for me, Edwards hasn't done... He's done a good job for Luton, and his biggest achievement is coming up from 6th and outdoing the other 2 teams that come up. But when you're talking about a manager of the year and that, it don't wash with me. He hasn't done that good of a job.
Well, I know what you mean, but I just think...
It's hard because I sit in between both of you on this one. I thought he's done a good job for the resources he's had, but I agree. Like I say, that's why I pepped Emery before. But yeah.
Yeah, so we're just going to wrap. We'll just do these last 2. We'll just do these last 2 comments, and then I think that we are reaching the end of the show. So I think the Premier League needs a culture change. Gone in a bit of a farmers' league with City 6 out of 7. I can see the sentiment, but at the end of the day, like they're the powerhouses of world football at the moment. And do you say the same thing about about Real Madrid? Do you say the same thing about the German league normally, where obviously the last change this year? Do you say the same thing about PSG? If you're going down that stance, every league's a farmers' league. And as Mark said, Gerrard had a flat pack from IKEA and lost the instructions, and Emery came along, found them, and put Villa on the up. And the trajectory is night and day. Yeah, and I totally agree with that. I do think, like I said, Emery's done a great job. Like I said, I don't think Gerrard was cut out for Premier League management anyway. I think he's done an all right job, and I think Emery's picked up the pieces, and fair play to him. But I think on that note, we have reached the end of the show. Billy, thank you very much for joining us tonight. It's very much appreciated.
No, thank you very much, both of you. Always nice to join you.
Big P, thank you for joining us tonight. And for everyone in the chat, thank you for your participations. And if you can like, share, and subscribe, that would be very much appreciated. And on that note, I think we are done for the night. So good night from me.
Thank you.